Hey guys, so let's look at a very interesting topic known as open interest. Okay, so what is open interest and why do we use it? Right? What is the importance of open interest? So, open interest, as the name suggests, okay, if you split the two, right, it is simply the interest that is open in the market, right? Like, let's say if somebody has bought one lot or one contract of Reliance futures. Okay, so that is the interest that is open, right, in the market. So that buyer, okay, is showing interest in the stock to go up. Now, simultaneously, if somebody has bought, then somebody must have sold to him, right? So if somebody buys one contract of Reliance futures, on the other hand, somebody is selling one contract of Reliance futures, so the open interest equals to one. Right? There's an interest from the buyer side and the seller side. Okay, so simply put, open interest is the positions of traders that are outstanding and not yet squared off. Right? They're still open. So let's so that was just a brief on open interest. Right? Let's look at a few examples here. Right? In this table. Okay, so now let's say that A, right, who's a new buyer, buys 10 lots, let's say 10 lots of Nifty, okay, from B, who is a new seller, right, and B is also selling 10 lots. So if A is buying 10 lots and B is selling 10 lots, the open interest is 10, right, because there's a interest from A and there's an interest from B, so our total open interest is 10. Okay, so this generally happens when a new buyer or seller, okay, creates a new open position, or when an existing buyer or seller, they increase their already open positions. Okay, so let's look at the second example. Let's say C comes in and buys 50 lots from D, who wants to sell 50 lots. Okay, so now the total open interest will be 50 plus 10, which is a total of 60. Okay, because again, a new buyer has come into the market and a new seller has come into the market. So that is basically saying that the interest that is open for that particular underlying stock or let's say index or contract, right, has gone up. Okay, so let's look at the third example, right? When we have an existing buyer sell position, okay, and that is squared off between an existing buyer or seller. So earlier we had D who sold 50 lots, right? So now D buys 10 of those lots back, okay, and D is buying it from A who earlier bought 10 lots. So A is simply squaring off his or her position, right? Earlier A bought 10, so now A is selling the 10 lots. Okay, and who's buying from A? And already an existing player. Okay, so when there's a transaction between existing traders, right, that will not increase the open interest, that will decrease the open interest, right? Because D is buying the 10 lots from A. So this will reduce the open interest by 10. Okay, this may get a bit confusing, so if you want, just go back and watch this again. But this is how open interest works. Okay, so now let's look at another example. Right, so now a new entrant has come in, E, right, and E is buying 50 lots. But keep this in mind, E is buying 50 lots from an existing player, an existing trader, right, from C, where C bought 50 lots earlier from D, right? And so now C is selling the 50 lots which was purchased earlier, and C is selling it to a new player, E. Okay, so because there was a transaction between a new trader from an existing player, right, the open interest will not change, right? These 50 lots have simply gone to a new player, E. Okay, so there is basically no exchange of new shares. E was simply buying the 50 lots from C, who had them already earlier. Okay, so the reason this here the open interest decreased by 10 was because A was getting out of the market, right? A was simply selling his or her 10 lots which were there earlier. So A was exiting the market. Okay, and now here E has taken the place of C. Hence, there is no increase or decrease in the open interest. Okay, if this sounds a bit confusing, guys, go back and watch this again and just try to understand this table, right? It's very self-explanatory, and it's not that complicated once you get it, right? So we need to keep one thing in mind about open interest is that it is used only in the derivatives market, meaning in the futures and options, right? So open interest is used in the index like Nifty, Bank Nifty, and their options, right? The calls and the puts, and then they're also used in stock futures, right? And their call and put options. So this is not to be used in the cash market, right? This is to be used only for futures and options. Okay, now a lot of traders, especially the big institutional players, they use open interest extensively. Okay, and we're going to look at this in more detail once we get into the option chain analysis, which will be covered in another video, right? But for the basics and for a brief understanding, right, this is what open interest is. Okay, so open interest, if you combine, see, to be used individually is quite risky. Okay, because it does not give you the entire picture, right? If there's a lot of buildup of open interest in a particular stock, right? Is it bullish for the stock? Is it bearish for the stock? All of that is quite subjective. So we tend to combine open interest with price, with the volumes. Then we also look at the charts, where the stock is at the current moment. So putting all of these factors together will really build your case, for the stock. So we'll look at this in the upcoming videos. Fine. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next videos.